The money question. I hate to chicken out with the answer, but it totally depends on your priorities if the hours are worth the pay or not. For me, the hours being worth the pay has changed a lot over the years. Sometimes it's totally worth it, and I've been happy to do 50, 60-hour plus work weeks, and other times in other contracts, it's definitely not. Thankfully, Vancouver has a lot of studio cultures and approaches to overtime and hours, which is what we're going to discuss in this video. I've heard of people in the VFX or animation industry at the big houses who work for a couple years and buy a condo in Vancouver well before the age of 30. However, the trade-off is, of course, is that they always work. I distinctly remember interviewing for a production coordinator role at one of the big houses about 5 years ago. It was late spring when I interviewed, and already they told me that if I were to accept the role, I could expect to work every weekend and every stat holiday for the rest of the year except Christmas Day. Would I have made a ton of money? Yeah, I would. Would I have seen my family or husband or enjoyed vacation time on this contract? No, not a chance. It should be noted as well that working constantly equates a paycheck. It does not always result in career advancement in animation. For example, you might toil away for years as a mid-level animator or compositor and make great money, but not always advance further at that particular studio. I also want to remind you that if you're in production, the rules are different. Very often, anyone at the level production manager or up, and very often production coordinators as well for that matter, are exempt from any sort of overtime pay or compensation in any way. In production, we aren't paid time and a half or double, and we don't get to bank our hours, even if it's a stat holiday. This is because it's our job to do whatever it takes to deliver the show, and you can learn more about this in video 1, The Role and Purpose of Production. For many studios, if the show doesn't deliver, you've failed to do your job or hold up your end of the bargain. In production, even if you are organized, you've planned well, your crew is motivated, and you have adequate resources, things can still go off the rails very quickly. If getting things back on track means you working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day with no compensation for this extra time, if you're in production, remember, you signed up for this. I have more to say on this in video 7, the cons of working in the animation industry. The hours you work in production also very much depends on your studio's culture and the project you're working on. If you're working at one of the big houses on a feature that will play in theaters, you can bet on tons of OT for everyone. If you're at a mid-sized studio working on a series or a straight-to-streaming movie, the hours are more likely to be doable depending on your studio's approach to work-life balance. Small studios that are just starting up often require more OT as well, as they want to make a name for themselves and get a good-looking project out the door as soon as possible. So, when it comes to if the hours are worth the pay or not, like I said before, it totally depends what's going on with your life. Are you caring for a family member? Are you about to get married? Are you wanting to transition to freelance or focus more on your side hustle? Of course, there are going to be times where you just want to get paid and make as much money as you possibly can. Other times you will want to be more calculating and decide on what makes the most sense for your career, not a down payment.